Hello, my beautifuls. Hello, hello. What is this? I just saw something. Let's go. Happy Valentine's Day. I got a new little. Uh-oh. No! I'm sending you all chocolate. Ah! Oh my god. I can have fun by myself. I've learned how to have fun by myself. Okay. Let's get everybody. Let's get the peoples invited. Let's get the peoples invited. Let's see. Who do we have here? Let's take the gum out of my mouth. Let's do that. Honey Catherine. If you are here, give me a shout out. Tell me hello. Tell me hello. Kim! What up, Chicky? What up, what up? I am so behind today. I am, oh my god, and like total trouble with the, total trouble with the tripod. Okay, stand by. Stand by. Ah! I look weird. Okay, hold on. Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody feeling? We've had some pretty incredible days here in the mystical arena. How is everybody feeling? Just getting my journaling on. I have been, so yesterday was, it was Brian's birthday yesterday, and it was also Valentine's Day yesterday, and it was our 4-year anniversary yesterday. So, and one kid went back to school today. And so we had decided to take the day off yesterday, and just like it was snowing and the weather was really bad, and so we just decided to like stay in, have a nice dinner, and sit and watch a bunch of movies. And that's what we did. That's what we did. And so this morning when I woke up, I was like, oh, I want to feel lazy. I want to be all lazy and stuff. But I ended up getting into, oh my God, Morgan, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So this morning I just wanted to be like lazy, super lazy, and ended up getting into this really cool conversation with one of my friends, a couple of my friends. Got into this really cool conversation. Next thing you know, I mean, like I'm sitting here in a towel, and like I'm like, oh my God, I'm late. Hey, Bonnie. Hello, honey. Teresa, hello. Sarah, hello. If I did not say hi to you, it's not because I don't love you. It's because I didn't see your name come up. Taylor, hello. Hello, hello. Morgan, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Sending you lots and lots of love. Today I want to talk about something really cool. And it's kind of interesting because one of the ladies who is a part of this program, messaged me today, and it's actually kind of what about today's live stream is about. And it's really kind of interesting. So yesterday we had done the hello Melissa, we had done the birthing experience where we or not yesterday, but the day before, was it yesterday? Was it yesterday? Day before yesterday. We had gone into the day that we were born. And for her, it had triggered something because she was adopted. And from the moment of her birth, she was adopted, right? So it had triggered a lot for her, but it had opened up a lot as well at the same time. And so I want to say this. No matter what circumstances around your birth were happening around your birth at that moment, I can promise you that somebody somewhere is glad that you were born. Somebody somewhere is glad for that moment of your birth. Somebody somewhere is very thankful for that moment of your birth because of you, because you're here. You may have created a massive impact in their life, or you may have given them reasons to have joy, or maybe given them reasons to have a gift of a child, or maybe given them reasons to have love in their life, right? So somebody somewhere is very thankful that you were born, and I think about my son, starting his journey out in his life. He's 23 years old. If I hadn't have been born, he would never have been born. He would have never met his girlfriend that he's in love with and getting ready to start a life with, right? So my birth was a blessing. It was a blessing that I was, my birth was a blessing to him, as his birth is a blessing to me, as his birth is a blessing to the people in his life, right? Somebody somewhere is glad that you were born. Okay. We have a doggy issue because Bryant went to go get his hair cut, and his girl Sage usually goes in the car with him and goes on travel trips with her daddy. Well, daddy didn't take her today because it's snowing, and he left her here with me, and she's very, very mad that she didn't get to go on the trip. So she's causing trouble in the house. So if you hear doggies going crazy, it's because Sage is not with her daddy. She's looking out the window like, why didn't you take me? You're supposed to take me everywhere. So if we have doggy issues, I'm sorry. So I wanted to this is like day 5, right? And I know I didn't even get the day 4 email out. I did not even get the day 4 email out. So everyone just go ahead and shoot me now. I did not get the day 4 email out. So I will get the day 4 email out today. And tomorrow I'm going to come on live and I'm going to announce something that I'm going to be presenting. I'm also going to announce some winners tomorrow. And I know that some people are saying just grateful Bryant was born. Exactly. I'm also going to announce, and I know that some people are a day behind, so I want to give you a day to catch up. Some people may even be 2 or 3 days behind, so I want to give you some time to catch up, okay? So tomorrow I'll come on and I'll do all the announcements of what we're doing and what's coming next and yada, 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 because we got all kinds of fun stuff going on, which I'm really excited about. But it's all around this premise that I'm going to talk about today. Today's premise is, who are you really? Who are you really? So I want to talk about I just want to sort of kind of, I just want to sort of kind of talk about the soul. I want to sort of kind of talk about the soul. I want to sort of kind of talk about the energy of the soul. And what the energy of the soul is really, right? I think a lot of times we think that our soul is like one big blob of energy, right? We think our soul is like one big gooey blob of energy, right? And this little blob of energy goes through lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes, taking on different bodies and different experiences and yada, yada, yada. But that's sort of not the whole kind of truth. That's sort of not the whole kind of truth, right? Your soul is actually, your soul has many different strands of what we call energy DNA, right? Your soul is made up of many different, it's like a bowl of spaghetti. It's like a bowl of spaghetti, right? Your soul is not one big blob. Yeah, there's the prana that is you. There is the hearts, the soul light that is you. But from that soul light expands out this form of what we call spiritual energy DNA, which is the different strands that make up the totality of the soul in this incarnation. So like in this incarnation, the body doesn't have really anything to do with it. Yeah, we come into different bodies, we come into different forms, we take on different aspects, physical aspects and things of that nature, and take on different roles in each life. But what's true is that in this incarnation, your soul will never be the same as it is in other lifetimes. So there'll be different aspects of your soul totality in another life. There'll be different aspects of who you are in another life, different DNA strands attached to that same soul light. So your soul light goes through all these different lives, and your energy, your spiritual DNA changes. It changes, right? So if we think about it this way, I like to sort of bring it back to my hair. And I'm sure that some of you have heard this conversation before. So if you have, great. If you haven't and it's new to you, great. So like, you guys can look at my poor thinning hair right now and you can be like, this is Aaliyah's head of hair, right? This is my hair. This is my head of hair, right? But my head of hair actually, if you take out if you spread out my hair, you will see that my hair is made up of individual strands. So that these strands make up the totality of my hair. Does that make sense? The soul is the same thing. There is a soul that has a lot of different DNA, energy, spiritual DNA strands that make up the totality of your soul in this lifetime, which gives you different, it may bring on different personal strengths. It may also pick up personal weaknesses, intelligences, personalities, loves, desires, likes, passions, things of that nature, right? So in each one of our incarnations, the DNA that makes up the soul of who we are changes, and we have different passions, different purposes, different paths, right? You're just not one big blob running around in the same life all the time, which is why when you do any kind of past life regression, why you don't see like the whole experience of the life, you see pieces of it, right? And there are people that'll come into this world that will have like big pieces. Like as children, they'll think that they're, and I'm sure you guys have heard the story, they'll think they're like, some World War II veteran or something like that in the war, and they recognize that. It's because that energy DNA strand, a lot of it came back in with them in this current life. It wasn't just pieces and strands, it was more spiritual DNA that decided to come back into this life, and so they have a lot more memories around that past life. Am I making any sense at all so far? Making sense? It sounds confusing when you're talking about it. It sounds confusing when you're talking about it, but there was a study done, and I can't remember who did the study or anything like that, but there was a study done. I know it was based out of Florida, and I'm trying to remember actually who did it and who didn't do it, but it didn't matter. I want to talk about this. This is kind of cool. So this company did this research on past life regressions on quite a number of different people, quite a number of, maybe 1,000 people or whatever, right? Hey, Melissa. Hey, Lauren. I don't know how many people they did the study on, but they did a study on a bunch of people, right? And they had different past life hypnotherapists go in and work with these clients going into a past life. And they had this group of people that all were coming back and saying that they were a particular energy of the past. And what they did is they gathered them all up and they put them in a bus and they drove them to Washington, D.C. And they all stood in front of the statue of Theodore Roosevelt. And each one of the people on this bus, I think there was like 50 people or something crazy like that, 20, 30, I don't remember how many, but it was a lot of people on the bus. And each one of them said, hey, in a past life, I was Theodore Roosevelt. And then another lady was like, wait a minute, in a past life, I was Theodore Roosevelt. And then another guy was like, wait a minute, in another life, I was Theodore Roosevelt. They all had the DNA strand of a past life regression, or they all had a past life regression in which they saw themselves as Thomas Jefferson. I mean, not Thomas Jefferson. Who did I just say? Yeah, Thomas Jefferson. So, anyway, you get my point. You get my drift, right? I'm kind of like, I'm in speed mode here. So they each have this life where they all saw themselves in the same person. And it's like, well, how could that be? Theodore Roosevelt. Thank you. Not Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt. It was Theodore Roosevelt. Why did Thomas Jefferson come to my head? Anyway, maybe because we're all part of Thomas Jefferson too. Anyway, Theodore Roosevelt, right? So all these people shared this past life regression with Theodore Roosevelt, right? It's like, how could that be? How could that be? How could all these people be Theodore Roosevelt? How? Because they all were. Because a part of their DNA actually lived a part of Theodore Roosevelt's life. It was part of Theodore Roosevelt. Each one of them had a DNA strand that lived the life of Theodore Roosevelt. Right? It comes down to this. Is that we are so interconnected. We are so interconnected. It's crazy. It is crazy. There's a reason why we're all sitting here in the same room watching the same live. There's a reason why we are connected. Your spiritual DNA is completely different than physical DNA. Yes, 100%. Your physical DNA is like your family. Your family in this lifetime. Your spiritual DNA is your soul family. Completely different. Totally different. Now your physical family can actually be a part of your soul family and usually are, but your spiritual DNA is completely different than your physical DNA. Yes. So because of this, what we know is this, is that within your spiritual DNA, within your spiritual energy, you have had the experience of being a great leader. You've had the most powerful experiences, either as a god or a goddess or a king or a queen or a famous movie star or a famous president or a famous world leader. You also have the DNA where you could have the most horrific experiences, right? So within each one of us is the power of greatness and the power of scary. How many of you seen Harry Potter? How many of you seen Harry Potter when he was like, oh my God, you know, I can't remember which, I think it was number 5, when he was talking to his uncle and he's like, I can't remember the exact quote, but he was talking to his uncle and he's like, you know, I feel this Voldemort energy within me and I feel like I'm becoming him. I feel like I'm becoming evil. And his uncle said something like, oh, within each one of us is the power of light and the power of dark. The darkness, the evil that, you know, each one of us has that. It's what we choose. It's what we choose to focus on that counts. For so many words. My son had a stem cell transplant at 23, and 23andMe can't do the thing for him because he now has 2 different DNAs. Wow! That's wild. That is pretty wild. I never really thought about that. That's kind of wild. Yeah. So within each one of us, we have lived out a life in which we were powerful, in which we had wealth, would wish we were kings and queens or lords and ladies or gods and goddesses or famous people who impacted nations or impacted people. And then there's a part of us that did the opposite. Did the complete opposite, right? Within each one of us is every experience that you could probably ever imagine. Within each of us is probably experiences that you can even imagine. And just because they happened in a past life doesn't mean that DNA, that spiritual DNA, is not running through you right now. Is this making sense? How many of you have ever looked upon an old figure or somebody who was like famous in the past or somebody who had clout and said, you know, that I feel an affinity to this. I used to have a friend who felt such a strong affinity to Albert Einstein. Such a very strong affinity to Albert Einstein. And what was really interesting about this person is they were really incredible with math and numbers and engineering and things of that nature. But they had a real strong feeling towards Albert Einstein and felt like maybe even part of their life was lived in Albert Einstein's time. I have another lady who's recognizing her qualities in the goddess, the Morrigan. There are people, musicians out there who feel an affinity to like, oh my God, what's his name? The famous musician. I just lost his. I am losing names. I always thought I was a descendant of royalty. I was Isis through Meditate Like a Mofo. I found exactly. So there's a part of us. You know, musicians will talk about Jimi Hendrix. You know, channeling their Jimi Hendrix because they feel an affinity to him. Like, because maybe part of their life was spent there. This is something I thought about. My son's organs were donated. And I have transplantation in my knee. Do we take on aspects of that DNA and personality? You can in the physical attributes. Spiritually, there may be a reason why you have that person's knee. My alien queen, exactly, Amy, exactly. So within each one of us is something powerful, magnetic, right? Something even more powerful than being a priestess for Isis. Maybe you were Isis in another life, right? Maybe you weren't just a priestess. Maybe there was something else. Maybe there was something else where you had great power. Within each one of us, we have all had the experience of having great power. Within each one of us is the experience of having a great power in a past life. And so we think about this life and we think, well, we get this feeling of greatness within us, right? We get this feeling of greatness within us, but then we don't fully recognize our potential. We don't fully recognize who we truly are. We don't fully recognize what we have done in other lifetimes. We don't fully recognize that spiritual DNA that's running through us, that we can make dominant. We don't have to keep it dormant. We can bring it forward and make it dominant and make it be the thing that leads us and creates the next step for us, moving forward into our awesomeness, moving forward into our leadership, moving forward into our power zones, right? Within each one of us is the spiritual DNA of great power, great effect, great responsibility. Spider-Man is going through my head. Massive change, transformation, human impact. You see where I'm going with this? So today is day 5. And yesterday we learned that it's time to really start getting prepared for the wealth that is coming into our life. We need to start getting prepared for the wealth that's coming into our life. I don't know that I have any PowerPoints today, except that within you is an amazing, powerful being that can attract money. At one point in your experience, you had great wealth. In one point in your experience, you had great poverty. If you decide now to focus in on the aspects of you that had great wealth and activate that DNA within you and start attracting as if you were that same energy, because you are, start attracting, then you loosen the constraints around poverty and step into wealth. Step into wealth. So how do you do that? You do that with your imagination. You do that with what you're intuitively called to. What great leader of the past inspires you? Makes you feel like maybe you felt an affinity to this person. You know, maybe it was Marilyn Monroe. Maybe it was JFK. Maybe it was Albert Einstein. Maybe it was Isis. Maybe it was the Morgan. Maybe it was Aphrodite. Maybe it was Queen Anne. I don't know. Who was it? Who was it that calls to you? Who is it? Who was it that calls to you? Is there somebody famous now that's alive that calls to you and makes you feel like you know them? Yeah, makes you feel like you understand them. You don't know. It's only something that you can put your mind to, that you can understand, right? It's one of those things that you can understand, right? Because that person who's famous now is making impacts now. Maybe the two of you shared a life in another lifetime where you created great impacts before. Just making sense? So today is a simple message. It's simple. You're more powerful beyond measure. You've had experiences where you experienced great wealth, and you can have that again by activating that DNA and remembering who you were. Now, let's say it was Theodore Roosevelt for you. Maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe it was Theodore Roosevelt. That doesn't mean that you activate your Theodore Roosevelt. That means you go in and you say, okay, what were the things that made Theodore Roosevelt great that make me great now? And how can I tap into my Theodore Roosevelt? How can I tap into the qualities of Theodore Roosevelt? For me, it's Ishtar. Like I dream that I was once Ishtar. I dream that I am Ishtar. I have had crazy dreams of being Ishtar. For me, it's Ishtar. You know, so now it's time for me to start channeling my inner Ishtar and let my Ishtar show up. Let my Ishtar lead. And if I was truly Ishtar in this life right now, how would I be doing things differently? Because see, it's not just what we say we're going to do. It's not just about getting excited about manifestation. It's about actually acting accordingly, right? If I tell you that you're an amazing mom and you accept that you're an amazing mom, you're going to act as if you're an amazing mom. You're going to do all the things that are going to make you an amazing mom. If I tell you that you're an excellent employee and your boss tells you you're an excellent employee and you take pride in your work as an employee, you're going to start acting as if you're an excellent employee. You're going to hold your head up high. You're going to be a little bit more confident, right? If I tell you that you're a good driver, like, damn, you're a good driver, you're going to start driving like a badass, right? You're going to be a boss driver, right? If I tell you that you can sing really well, you're probably going to sing more, right? If I tell you that you're a damn good dancer, you're probably going to get jiggy with it everywhere, right? You're going to feel really confident if you can accept, yeah, I'm a good dancer. I'm going to get jiggy with it. Ba-bum, bum, right? And everywhere you go, you're getting jiggy with it because you're a good dancer, right? So if I tell you that there's a part of you that is wealthy and you decide to tap in and find that strength that is you, that is wealth, that is in your DNA, then you're going to start acting as if you're wealthy. You're going to start acting as if you're a world leader. You're going to start acting as if you're powerful beyond measure, right? And when you start acting as if, and the universe aligns with it, it's like, here you go. Here you go. It's yours. Right? Making sense? Who's getting jiggy with it? Who's getting jiggy with it? Right? Yeah. So, very simply put, your message today, your homework today, is to find your powerful leader. Who is your powerful leader? Who are you as a powerful leader? And don't tell us who you were as a powerful leader. I'm getting jiggy with it. Hell yeah, you are, because you are a good dancer. It's about aligning with your wealth. It's about aligning with your power person, right? Who is your power person? I'm so getting jiggy with it. I'm jiggy. Who is your power person? Who were you in a past life? And what qualities do you still possess? What is in your spiritual DNA that is still within you today that you can access and use and start acting like the person you really are? That's your homework today. And if you have to, get jiggy with it. You're jiggy with it. Maybe you were Marilyn Monroe. Maybe you were Marilyn. Maybe. And maybe if you were Marilyn Monroe, maybe it's time to start being your sexy. Maybe it's time to start getting into your element of sexy and bringing your sexy forward, right? Bringing your sultry forward. Bringing your sexy forward. Appreciating who you are. Appreciating your curves. Appreciating your admiration. Right? Maybe you were Thomas Jefferson. We'll just use him because I slipped up and used his name. Maybe you were Thomas Jefferson, and so maybe within you is presidential power. Maybe there's strong leadership abilities, and maybe you need to get stronger in your masculine. That's what you thought. It's time to bring your sexy out. I'm bringing sexy back now. I can't sing. I wasn't a singer in a past life. I can tell you that. I probably was a poet, though, because I love poetry. So I probably do have a little bit of poetry within me, right? There's a couple poets I sort of align with. Maybe I can tap into my inner Emily Dickinson, right? Right? So think about who you were. And look, you don't have to be like, well, I don't know who I was. I didn't have a past life regression. Who speaks to you? What characters in history speak to you? What characters in life speak to you? And what qualities do you possess? How did you share that life? And what qualities do you have? Right? I was for sure a writer. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't think of a dead writer right now. Maybe you were Shakespeare. Bring out those qualities and start acting them out. The way you activate them is you accept that they're a part of you. What are you afraid of? So when my friend messaged me today and said, I think I might be the Morgan. I said, okay, cool. Why are you afraid of that? Why does that make you afraid? Why does it make you afraid? What if they die after I was born? Well, who's to say that a part of them that you still weren't a part of them that was accessed later on in life? A queen who wrote secretly. Mm-hmm. Energy is a funny thing. Energy is a funny thing. What qualities do you possess in that leader? What qualities do you possess in that famous person? Who are you really? Activate those qualities. I want to hear about it. I want you to tell me what they are. Put that down in your post. Hashtag Quantum Shift Day 5. Start acting as if. And let the universe show up. All right. That's it. It's day 5. Day 5. If you have to get into your imagination, close your eyes and see yourself as that person. Close your eyes and see yourself shifting into that person. See yourself becoming that person. See yourself in that person's body. See yourself moving about using your hands. You know, if you were Marilyn Monroe, maybe you see yourself walking like Marilyn Monroe. You close your eyes and you see yourself as Marilyn Monroe, and you feel that sexy moving. You feel that power moving, right? You feel within you. You get the imagination going. You feel it. You connect to it. And then you ask yourself, how am I still possessing the qualities? All right. So who for you? I want you to look at the thing that you're afraid of, though, Teresa, that you have within you that you're afraid of. What is that thing that you're afraid of, Teresa? What is that thing that's inside of you that you're afraid of? I have this vision, right? I'm gonna share a fantasy I have, okay? So that you guys can be like, oh my God, Aaliyah, you're insane, right? And I am insane. I do have insanity within me. I love it. And I have this, like, when I see myself at my greatness, right? When I see myself at my ultimate level, and I see myself in my prowess and my powerful, right? I see myself walking through doors. I see myself walking through doors, and I'm thin and my body is in perfect condition, and I'm wearing this badass white outfit, and beside me on one side is a tiger and then the other side is a wolf, and I'm totally in connection with these animals, and I see myself walking through this hall and just feeling these animals with me and the power of the animals that are with me. That is my fantasy. That's when I really get into myself. And then I'm like, okay, so what is that telling me? It tells me that I have this fearless ambition within me. It tells me that I have the power of the lion, the power of the wolf moving through me. And when I fully allow it, that it will be showcased in who I am. Mine is responsibility. I have been for a long time. It has been for a long time, but I haven't been focused on it. Interesting. It just came up again. Yeah, being unloved. So maybe there's a part of you in your life that you were pining for someone and you love them, and you're afraid of being unloved again. My biggest fear has been my power. Yes, it usually is. Your biggest fear is usually your biggest power. Yeah. Be a queen, be a king, be a god, be a goddess. Be the president. Be a world leader. Be a healer. Just be who you really are meant to be. Tell me about it. I want to hear it. And tomorrow, I'll be coming on here around the same time and doing an announce what we're doing next, and to announce the prizes that I'm giving out. I love you guys. Mwah! Have a beautiful Friday.